A common issue that Reiki students often run into is feeling like they are making this all up. It is really common to feel like you've been intuitively drawn to take a Reiki class, come into class, maybe things are feeling good, and then leave. And really shortly after, maybe within the next few days, next few weeks that follow, all these questions start popping up. And one of them is, what if I am making this all up? Hello, I am Selenia Rodriguez. I am the owner of Healing with Selenia, and I am creating this YouTube series where I address an after class gap. So, the things that go on after taking Reiki level 1 and even Reiki level 2, maybe even beyond that, it really just depends on the student and the teacher, but just all of these questions, all of this doubt starting to seep in. So I wanted to create this series for students like you who are struggling with these things. So the topic today is, what if I am making this all up? This is common, and it's hard in the beginning of your Reiki journey, because it requires, and I'm gonna start sounding like a broken record here through my videos possibly, but it requires lots of practice, lots of patience, which I know can be hard, especially in a society where we've really been taught that like we can have instant gratification on a lot of things. It doesn't work like that in a Reiki journey. And it doesn't work like that on our healing journey, just in general, or a spiritual journey. These things take time. So, practice, patience, and self compassion. Another really difficult one, especially for those of us who often get down on ourselves. So, if you're like that, of course, this question of, what if I'm making this all up? What if I am just like crazy and when I was in class it was just like a placebo effect or something, or I was just so excited that I thought I was feeling things and I really wasn't, and whatever kinds of doubts are seeping in from all of that. Yeah, this can be really difficult because it requires us to turn that logical side of our brain off. The one that is always working in this 3D reality, right? It requires us to kind of turn that down and turn that right side of the brain up, that part that is more tuned into the spiritual, more tuned into imagination and play and creation and things of that nature. That's the side of the brain that we want to be tuning into when we're in the beginning of our journey like this, right? Because there, with the Reiki, it's not really tangible. Unless you're really open to your psychic gifts, there's it's not tangible, right? Like I can't, like with the normal like naked human eye, I can't see it. I can't touch it. I can't hear it. I can't smell it. I can't taste it. So, is it real? Well, absolutely, right? It's energy. And everything is energy. We just need to know how to properly tune into this energy. I said this in one of my other videos as well, but I think one thing that makes this even more difficult and gets this question really weighing on our minds is that when we're in Reiki class, we're often and just only told that when you tune into this energy of Reiki, you will feel heat or coolness or tingling. Things like that, right? Like signs that you're actually feeling the energy of Reiki. But what we're not told is that there's so many other ways to tune in to this beautiful energy. We all have our different gifts that we're able to tap into, and some that we're able to tap into more strongly than others. So, yes, absolutely, you can feel warmth, you can feel coolness, you can feel tingling. You know, I tell people that you might feel surges of energy, or might feel like there's movement like happening in your body, or you might all of a sudden feel like a part of your body weighs like a ton of bricks, which is how you know that energy is getting trapped somewhere. Um, you know, you might see color, you might go into a meditative state, you might you know, hear messages from your guides, or just hear things, or have like thoughts that just like feel like they've been inserted into your mind, or like a song pops in, or something. Um, and then, you know, all these things can apply to the practitioner and the client, but then something else that can apply, like if you're speaking to a client, is like you could fall asleep. And that's a really big deal, especially if you're a stranger, right? Like this is their first time meeting you, and they are swearing up and down that they would never fall asleep, and then they fall asleep. That's a pretty good sign that it was working and it relaxed their nervous system enough, and they actually felt safe and they fell asleep. That's another thing. The Reiki you know, invokes these feelings of safety and peace. So those are other ways to be able to tune into this energy. But something else, like just drifting away from those types of feelings that are still, for the most part, like very spiritual and like energetic in nature. Other ways that you can tell that this energy is working and that you're not making it up is because maybe you start noticing an improvement in your mood. Maybe you start noticing that you are showing up in your life in a completely different way. Maybe you notice that all of a sudden, like things that usually would have like put you on edge, maybe made you snap, aren't really doing that anymore. You find yourself responding to those situations in ways that you never have before, maybe in ways that you never thought that you would be able to, right? Responding from a more grounded space. Um, Other ways that you can tell is if you're doing a lot of Reiki on yourself and all of a sudden you notice that some really big emotions or even trauma is pulling to the surface. This is really common, right? A lot of us suppress. And so when we introduce something like Reiki into our lives, the body starts to relax and let go of these things. And so it starts all coming to the surface. So that, I know, is stressful, and at some points you might feel like you're going a little crazy, but that is signs that the Reiki energy is working with you. So there's so many ways to tell, and just like, once again, don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think it's important to say, like I mentioned in my other videos, being able to pay attention to your body and just paying attention to yourself in general, right? Like, because if you don't recognize that you're starting to respond to situations in ways that you wouldn't have in the past, then of course you're not going to recognize that the Reiki is actually working in your life. So really being able to pay attention to your body and the way that it feels, being able to tune in and notice where emotions are stuck, you know, notice how your mind is racing, notice how you're tensing in different places. So yes, being able to pay attention to your body, which if you haven't, I invite you to go back and watch some of my other videos because I'll take you through a practice that shows you how to really begin to tune into your body and build that relationship with your body so that you do know that this is working for you. Other ways that you can be able to tell is maybe you kick some sort of habit, right? So when I took my level 1 and level 2, because when I took my classes, level 1 and level 2 are back to back. So after I took my level 1 and level 2, I started my 21 days of Reiki. And about 2 weeks in, I noticed that I hadn't drank any coffee at all and that I didn't have a withdrawal. I had tried to quit coffee several times before that and found that I couldn't because I just could not handle the debilitating migraines that came like on day 3 and I was caving. But I noticed after 2 weeks I hadn't drank coffee, but I also hadn't thought about coffee and had no withdrawals. Now, I'm not saying that will be the case every time. I don't want everyone to think that, trying to kick a habit might be like that easy. It can be, right? It happened to me. But the point is that I kicked a habit, really without even thinking about it. And, and just because that was something that was a part of my daily ritual, I was able to recognize like, oh my gosh, like I like kicked this habit, like what the heck? The Reiki energy was working with me. And as this energy was flowing more and more through my body and I was raising my vibration a little bit, it got to a point where obviously like my body's like, I don't like caffeine actually, doesn't agree with me. And so we kick the habit, right? So these things can happen in your life. Maybe you kick some sort of habit. Maybe it is coffee. Maybe you notice that all of the sudden you don't feel the need to get lost in television, right? Like maybe it was like a source of comfort or a source of suppressing for you, and all of a sudden you noticed that you weren't really dying to watch the TV as much anymore, right? So just really paying attention to your habits, to your body, to your emotions, to your mental state, and your spiritual state. And you will start to notice that things are shifting. And so this is how you know that the Reiki is working and you're not making it up. It's doing something in your life, right? And I know maybe some of you are thinking, well, I was promised in class that I would be able to feel the energy and I want to feel it. And that is completely valid, and I completely understand that. And I do wish that things were worded a little bit differently in classes. My classes have been evolving as I'm recognizing more and more struggles that a lot of students face. So I'm really trying to like evolve my classes and have the expectations, be a little different, more like that's so just like small, right? Like such a small way that you can recognize this energy, and just really working on like expanding that so students know like, no, there's like this whole world of ways that you can know that this energy really is working in your life. So I guess I just say that like just keep that in mind, right? Like if you decide that you want to go to master level and that you want to teach students in the future, then just keep that in the back of your mind that this may be something that you want to add into your classes, that there's so many other ways. Now with that being said, I do believe that everyone can get to a place where they are recognizing the energy in some way. I'm going to avoid the word feel because, like I said, we all have different psychic gifts and different things that we're able to tap into. And so, when you're thinking about psychic gifts, that goes beyond just feeling. Right? Like we're talking, some people are just going to be able to see the energy. And so at least they know that it's there and it's moving and it's working. Yes, some people will they'll feel that heat, that coolness, that tingling. Some people are going to be able to hear things, right? Like everybody is going to tap into this energy in a different way. Some people will just know and they'll just trust. Um, and I do believe that that is something else that we can work on is trusting. And I know that that can be really hard, especially for those of us who have spent a lot of our lives not really being able to trust in many things. And it's like, oh, well, now you're asking me to trust in something I can't even see or touch, you know? So it's completely understandable. And once again, it just takes time. I know it takes like a leap of faith. And I invite you to just stick with it because you already took the class, right? So you might as well just stick with it and start to really build that momentum and that trust that comes along with being able to really like understand how all of this works. Um, I do want to say, and maybe it's not something that everybody really wants to hear, but I do want to say that, like, you really don't have to fully believe or trust for this energy to work. Does believing and trusting help things work more because it opens us up more? Absolutely. The less closed off you are, the better. But the fact remains is that you don't have to fully believe or trust in order for this to work. If you can just stay willing to be able to tune in to your body and just build that relationship with yourself, then eventually you will begin to notice. I promise you, if you just stick with it, it will take time. And yes, sometimes it does take longer than just doing the 21-day Reiki cleanse. I do see some students that are concerned. I went through the 21 days and still nothing's happening. Um, I understand. I do once again think that maybe part of the issue there though still is that we're missing that link of being able to tune into the body because once again we've all been told this is what you'll feel and that's it. But that's not true. So much more to this energy. So much more. And I really am making a lot of these videos for people who especially are still just practicing a lot of Reiki on themselves. But another way to really be able to tune that logical and like ego part of the brain out that's like attacking us and telling us that we're making this up is practicing on other people. If you're comfortable with that, if that's something that you want to do. Just practicing on somebody that you trust, right? Not somebody who's gonna like be mean to you or really like nail down this belief like even further. So I invite you and highly encourage that if you want to do this, to practice on somebody that you really trust, right? Like try to avoid like if you struggle with self-sabotage, recognize that and try to avoid working on somebody who's going to confirm that negative belief. 'Cause we've all been there, right? We're struggling with a negative belief and we outsource that to somebody that we don't trust. And I think it's just like an unconscious thing that we do so that they can affirm that negative belief, and then we can just give up altogether. So I invite you to please, if you're going to do this, to try and build that trust with yourself and your practice, and you want to practice on someone else to like see more proof of what is happening, do it with somebody that you trust. Okay? Or somebody that you know who's going to be like gentle and kind and honest, right? Because we just want like some honest feedback. So working on others can really be a good way, because I feel like it's so hard when we're doing something for ourselves, right? We do Reiki on ourselves and we can't really feel it, but we got Reiki done by someone else and we could feel it. So what the heck is happening? You know, and I feel like a lot of like our negative beliefs and biases about ourselves and things like that can really stand in the way of us being able to like fully embrace all of this. So sometimes it does help to work on somebody and see what they're feeling. Explain everything. Tell them all the different things that I said that they could possibly feel, all the way from those energy feelings, the heat and the tingling, all the way to, you know, if you feel less pain, if you feel like you go into a meditative state. This is especially a big deal for people who swear up and down that they cannot meditate. And then you do Reiki on them and they're like in this meditative, like dreamlike state. And they're like, I don't know what the heck happened, right? That's a big deal. That's a really big indicator that this is working. You know, them falling asleep, feeling those feelings of peace or emotions come up. Just tell them everything, right? And then do the Reiki on them and then get the feedback after. See what they have to say. But still keeping in mind that, especially if it's their first time getting Reiki and maybe they aren't very open, they might not feel a lot during like their first or their second session, but y'all can just keep with it if they're open to you continuing to practice on them until they're feeling something, and then they can give you some feedback, right? This can be really helpful of like, okay, I'm not making this up because this person is something's happening, right? So this is a really nice thing to have if you are comfortable with practicing on other people at the beginning of your journey. So I think that something that I would like to do before we end this video is take you through a practice where I show you how to kind of turn off that logical side of the brain and really turn on the right side of the brain. And this is a great practice. You can do this before you begin your self Reiki session. So just make it like this whole thing for yourself, right? Where you sit down, you'll do this practice, and then you'll go into like the normal motions that you normally do before you do self Reiki. So if you're Usui, then you know that's getting into that gasho position, calling on the Reiki, setting your intention, and then beginning. So, okay. Okay, so before we begin, if you would like to pause this video and go grab something that you can cover your eyes with, completely optional. But if you have like a cloth or just like a shirt nearby or even an eye mask, sometimes it can be really helpful when we're really trying to like shut down that left side of the mind. It can be helpful to not have any light coming through, because light coming through our eyes is really what like keeps that side of the brain awake. at least for most people anyways. So if you'd like to try this out with something covering your eyes, go ahead and pause this video really fast and go grab that. Okay, so now that you have your eye covering, or you can just close your eyes, that works too. Either seated or laying down, whatever makes you comfortable. Just gonna begin by taking a few deep breaths. So in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose and out through your mouth. I want you to bring your focus to the back of your skull. Putting all your focus there. And just imagine that at the back of your skull, a door opens up. And if you're not good at imagining things, that is okay. It is all about intention. So just hold your intention with me as I walk you through this. So the door opens at the back of your skull. Begin to focus your energy. We're just traveling into the mind here. Traveling to your brain. And just see the left and the right hemispheres of your brain. What I want you to do is begin to tune into the left side of your brain, noticing how alive it is. We're going to begin to dim the lights on the left side of our brain. So just however you're imagining this is great. You can thank the left side of your brain for everything that it does for you, but just letting it know that at this moment, turning the left side off just for a little bit. So just beginning to dim the lights on the left side of the brain, or maybe you just imagine that darkness kind of falls over the left side of your brain. However you're imagining it, we just want to begin to turn this energy down on that side. And then switching your attention to the right side of your brain. This is that imaginative parts. It's very flowy and emotional and creative, and it's very connected to all that is. We're going to begin to turn the lights up on the right side of the brain, or turn the energy up, raise the vibration, however you want to envision it or feel into it. Just really inviting that side of our brain to wake up. waking it up. Letting it be bright and beautiful. And just really tuning into that for a moment. And once that feels complete, I invite you to walk back towards the back of your brain. And just imagine that a spiraled staircase begins to form. And it's just starting to spiral down your body. So just walking down that staircase, just bringing your energy down through your neck, coming into your chest, until finally you come to your heart space. This is where we want to land this energy. So just really feeling into your heart space now. Allowing your heart to open up a bit. Feeling that opening of energy, that blossoming, that connection, that love. Just really settling into your heart space. And then just grounding it down. Really focusing, connecting your heart energy to your root. So if you aren't familiar with energy centers, we're just gonna come down to the base of the spine. So just really connecting that heart energy down into your root, the base of your spine, anchoring it in. This will help to really ground this energy. And if you want to anchor this even more, you can even imagine that roots are growing out of the base of your spine, or even pulling it all the way down to your feet and letting the roots grow out of the bottoms of your feet. And just allowing them to grow down into the earth, really anchoring into the earth so that you're really grounded in this energy. The left side of the brain is more asleep, the right side is awake. We're connected into the heart, we're grounded. Just taking a few more deep breaths. One more breath. And from here, you can either just go right into your self Reiki practice, or you can begin to slowly open your eyes. If you need to come back to reality, just maybe pressing on your body, pressing on your thighs, touching your stomach, just working up, touching your chest, touching your arms so you feel a bit more grounded, so you can go back to your day. But just know that you can come back to this practice whenever. If you're really questioning, really having a hard time turning off that logical side, that computer side of your brain, you can come into this practice and then just flow right into your self Reiki session. And just like all things, it may take a bit of practice to really be able to turn that side of the brain off. Just for a little bit. You just have to reassure your brain it's just for a little bit. I will need you again very soon. So I hope that you found this video, and I hope that you find this practice very beneficial. If you enjoyed all of this, please follow me, like this video, leave a comment, share it with other people that you know are struggling with this. If you have any topics that you would love to see addressed, please let me know. I would love to cover that at some point. And yeah, just thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next video.